Last week, Eagle Dynamics show off this new Iraqi map for pre-purchase, available now. So in other words, you can buy now and it's going to be available whenever. And for the first time in how I've been aware, numbers like never before have come out. These are the top 4 comments underneath this video. And they've basically said, no, we're not buying anything anymore. These are the most popular comments. Now, it was, even just a year ago, if you were in any way critical about what Eagle Dynamics were bringing out, anything to do with DCS, a whole host of fanboys would come out and they'd attack your comment with, oh, nobody forces you to buy early access. Well, it's a business and they've got to make, endless excuses were made. But finally, in 2024, the DCS community has had enough and they're very supportive of each other as well. The response from Eagle Dynamics, cue the prompts, has been to, according to many, to simply just gaslight the DCS community, and I have to agree with that. So in today's video, we're going to take a look at what was said, who said it, the Eagle Dynamics response, people's response to the response, because it is, of course, as we know, gaslighting. But we'll also take a look at what are some of the problems that plagues Eagle Dynamics, why it actually is that people have had enough, and do we even need a new map? But this here is like, what's that? It's like 20% down. Like, this is massive, like 80 to 20% like dislike ratio. We'll go further down then. Let's take a look at what people are actually saying, because then we're going to take a look at what the response was and why so many people consider that gaslighting. So how about finishing some previous products? I assume he means products, because of course they've reached a whole bunch of them, before releasing new ones, again plural. Sorry Ed, no purchase this time, we want finished and working products. And again, this is so crucial to understand. Finished and working, 2 separate things. It's one thing to just pull the early access sticker off and say, there you go, it's finished. If it ain't working, it ain't working. I mean, take Combat Arms for goodness sake. I don't know how old that is, but if anybody's played that and they've got either track IR or VR, you'll know it doesn't work right. You try and move your head, what you got to do, you got to disable the thing, come back round. If you're in VR, rip the thing off, come back round, play. Like, come on. It may be quote-unquote finished, but it ain't working right, is it? I'll look at this map once Afghanistan map is fully released, not before and when the F-15 debacle is resolved. Of course, the whole Razbam Gate thing, right? The F-15 Eagle, Strike Eagle or Echo. This is separate to once the Afghanistan map is finished, right? To state the obvious, but I'm sure you'll understand that, but these things need spelling out for certain people at Eagle Dynamics, unfortunately. Next comment. Sorry, I have enough modules, campaigns, and maps. And I feel exactly the same. I have enough. I just need them to get finished before I purchase even more. And this is the exact same sentiments with me. I purchased every single Eagle Dynamics and third-party add-on until the Cola map. Because at that point, I thought, hang on, you're releasing too many things here and you're not addressing the others. And it seems that the community, whether people on board with me then, clearly somewhere, it seems that everybody's pretty much on that page now. The only exception to that was that dual wing joke, as I call it, the biplane, because it's like nothing to do with combat flight simulation, right? Next one. Nope, I'm done. Not buying any more partially developed products until you give me more reason to actually play the game, like a dynamic campaign might be nice. Might be nice, right? They've only been talking about it for I don't know how many years. Like, it's been years since they've been talking about the dynamic campaign, and I don't know. I mean, every time they do this 2020 whatever and beyond video, there's always talk of a dynamic campaign, and I don't know what's happening to it. I mean, they'll always say, oh, we've got a dedicated team working on it. You know, the team might just be one guy working part-time on a Friday afternoon for 3 hours, but it's a dedicated team. I hope I'm wrong, but, when progress is so slow with so many modules, you've got to forgive us for thinking that a team is nothing more than 1 or 2 part-time people on an extreme part-time basis. Next one. Some call me Tim. Okay, the map looks pretty nice and will be a good area for missions. Sounds promising. But I'm not dropping any more money, any early access modules until the F15 situation is resolved and the other maps get properly finished. Okay, this F15 is going to keep cropping up. Razbam Gate, which of course includes other modules, including the Harrier. You know, some people say the South Atlantic map, then others say no, that's actually a separate division that was subcontracted. Well, you know, who cares, the politics. But the point is, the actual aircraft that have got Razbam's name on it, most notably the F-15 and the Harrier, you know, that most of us have heard of the rumours, right? And for those who haven't heard the rumours, it goes a little something like this, and I say, these are rumours, I'm just repeating what people have been saying. Razbam released the F-15, as we know, earlier this year. And at some point, there was a hoo-ha. And the hoo-ha was, Razbam released the post. We haven't been... Sorry, guys, but we haven't been paid in over a year. We can't run a company like this. Eagle Dynamics is withholding sales, yada, yada, yada. And so I can no longer afford to pay my people. And then, one by one, these people quit. And there was a video posted of Razbam guy deleting all his files. Now, whether there was a backup or not or whatever, you know... Who knows? Point is, that thing. And so everyone's gone, oh, well, why didn't you pay him, Eagle Dynamics? What the F is this? And Eagle Dynamics is like, oh, there's nothing to these rumours. And everybody go back to sleep. And then later on it was, well, actually, maybe because he said this, we're going to have to say something now. And they didn't stick to their contractual obligations. And so everyone's like, they're talking about contractual obligations. And then somebody called Bonzo, who's done amazing work over on DCS Exposed, somehow has been able to get a whole bunch of insider stuff. Don't ask me how he's done it, but he's a clever cookie. That's, you know, that's all I know. And all I'm saying is he's a clever cookie, and everything he's ever come out with was later substantiated. And basically transpired that there was a legal spat, and somebody may have done some work with an Ecuadorian Air Force from Razbam, and then there was Eagle Dynamics saying, well, you weren't officially supposed to do that. And then they're like, yeah, but unofficially we had chat back and forth. You knew what we were doing. Yeah, but it weren't illegal. And then the lawyers get involved, and, you know, we want 600,000 in your sales, and then we can all just put this to bed. And like the other guy's like, that's almost all our F-15 sales. We're not going to give over 600. Blah, blah, blah. That's how it goes. And so you can see why Eagle Dynamics and Razbam have got a bit of a problem. And whether all of that is true, or some of it, or it's partially true, whatever, there is discontent. And for a while, Eagle Dynamics made out, oh, everything's fine. They're still supporting the module. And then later on, Eagle Dynamics are like, well, actually, we hope to try and resolve it. Yeah, so there was nothing in concrete. We just hope that we can figure it out, kind of thing. How genuine it all is and exactly what happens, I don't know. I'm just saying what's been on the rumor mill. The fact is, those of us who have paid for the F-15 don't want to hear excuses. One of the other problems has been people who have tried to refund the F-15 haven't, in many cases, in most cases, been given their money back. They've only been given store credit back. Now, Eagle Dynamics says, oh, well, European law, and if people want a refund, blah, 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 because of the nature of digital products, and, you know, but we don't have to refund, but we've been more than whatever and actually given store credit so people can buy something else. Okay, store credit isn't a refund and actually goes against the European consumer law. And I looked into this a little bit for this video. The European consumers law states that if the product cannot be delivered as described, whatever the reason is, then people are entitled to a refund. Okay, now if you buy something, a digital product, and it is working as described, then you decide to have a refund. That's when that whole law of you can't then have a refund. You know, you can't you can't buy a game, play it for play it for 6 months. It's exactly what you want, but you've completed it now and then say, oh, I want my money back. Like, that doesn't work. We understand that. But where the law is very precise is if the product is not working as intended and there are no efforts to get it as such. Okay, so we all know if you get something, it's broken, you send it back, they fix it, you've now got what you paid for. However, with Razbam and, you know, this whole spat, it seems, let's just use the word unlikely that the product is going to be working anytime soon. I think Ego Dynamics are on somewhat shaky ground by denying people the refund to the payment method that, you know, people use. You know, if I used a certain Visa card with bank ABC and my number's 1234, and I want a refund, that's where Ego Dynamics should put it on, not store credit to then go buy something else. Of course, when Ego Dynamics give you store credit, the advantage from their point of view is they're not having to give you a penny back. You know, they've still made the sale. Now you go buy some other digital product, which of course doesn't cost them anything to just press the copy button, press the keygen button, and, you know, that doesn't cost them anything. It does cost them money though to refund the sale and whatever sort of micro charges there are with Visa and all the rest of it. So that. So here we I like this one from Philippe Fibra. Sorry guys, I gave enough passion and support. I'll pass this time. We've got another one here. Potato Tron 10,000. What a cool name that is. I've been literally waiting for you to fix ground AI for years. It's, you know, for those of you that, you know, mess around in the editor sometimes, or perhaps you play on some of these 4-year training missions and you see the AI bumbling along the road, it is like, you know, it looks like a game that was made 20 years ago. You know, and yes, there are some units that have more fidelity to them, but in all, you know, all things said and done, you very rarely see it in super high fidelity because you're looking at it through a TGP and you're just looking at the fluorage. But we're talking about the behavior of those ground units, not necessarily just what they look like. And so it's been waiting years for that. If we take a look at the newsletter, this is from January 2023, the 2023 and Beyond newsletter. So this is almost 2 years old. You know, we're on back end of October 2024 now. So in a couple of months, it will be 2 years old. We'll see. They've got a whole bunch of tasks for the year in the near future. Some of these, like the DLSS, of course, has been done, multi-threading, of course, but other things haven't. You know, the Vulkan API, the Earth map. What on earth happened to that, right? Updated weather, which of course hasn't happened. And I know there's going to be someone saying, yeah, it did. They added 2 or 3 new light rain presets on the weather panel. If you think that's passes. I remember, and I don't know how long ago it was, about 3 or 4 years ago, they were teasing fog down in the valleys as the weather system. I mean, what on earth's happened to the fog? There is no fog. And I know some people saying, yeah, there is. There's the old antiquated version. Okay, but that doesn't work with the new clouds and it looks shite. We're talking about the new fog. And of course, there's workarounds. Oh, well, if you pick a real hilly area and pick certain clouds and lower the base, you can sort of, in a few valleys, have this almost fog-like effect. Yeah, but come on. We're talking about the whole map, not just so you can screenshot a very particular valley where it happens to look good down that one valley. Improved flare maps. I mean, I know they've been supposedly, ostensibly working on that, but I was flying the F-18 only yesterday with flare mode in, and it looked shite. Dynamic campaign, we've been over that. I think you know, need a lot of hopium for some of this stuff. Updated air traffic control. Air traffic control is more broke than ever. On multiplayer right now, it's not working at all. And come on, it's so shit. Even on the super carrier, which is a whole nother subject, it is so fucked. Like, if you watch the released video of Super Carrier that's, what's his face? Wags from Eagle Dynamic released right years ago now. And there's that whole approach and you hear a whole series of radio communications. Like that by itself, it's like, okay, that's pretty cool. But when you realize it's just a series of audio files that plays in sequence, and if you do anything slightly wrong that's out of sequence, it fucks the whole thing up. It's like, that's what we've got. And that's on the Super Carrier module, which is, again, my opinion, Ed, the worst example of a module you've ever released. It is so low priority. I mean, when you were working on it and then you said, oh, we had to start the whole thing from scratch because it just didn't work properly. I was on it a day or two ago, and I asked the guy for launch, in the menu, permission to launch, because of course none of it works properly. You've got to ask for it. Okay, so you ask for it. And then all the deck crew suddenly teleport 30 meters and then start running around in this animation. I'm thinking, come on, like, it looked terrible, so immersion breaking. And I just, oh, come on, that was years ago that you released that. 2020, I think the carrier came out. More improved human animations for pilots. Now, of course, that is, in some aircraft, I have seen an improvement. Most notably the F-18, right? But, there's been others where jack shit has been done for the most of them. Infantry still looks shite. I mean, guy, if you don't believe me, get some infantry guys, set their speed. The max speed is, I believe, 8 knots. Set them to do something like 3 or 4, sort of a walking pace. Land a helicopter and ask them to load in or unload and tell me that, it looks like a game that was 20 plus years ago. Deck and ground crew, well, yeah, I've just been on that. The teleporting grounds, the deck crew. Still don't have people wandering you into, what was all this? Oh, they're going to wave you into position where you need to go. I mean, we were told this shit 4 years ago. Expanded multiple light sources. I think they have done that. Progress on voice chat. This is an example of a fucking addition that nobody wanted, nobody did. I realize I'm swearing a lot, but I am passionate. You can tell I'm passionate. We're already using SRS. It works perfectly. Everybody, you go into a server and depending on the more complex the mission, the more people that are on SRS, sometimes everybody's got it. It's like, nobody asked for this. Nobody wanted for this. It's been buggy as hell. It shreds the frame rates in certain situations. People just disable it. It's like, nobody wanted that. It was just a waste of time. And I'm sure somebody's going to be critical. Oh, you can't blame them for adding new features. Well, I can't when nobody asked for it, and we need other stuff fixing. New visual special effects. Well, that, of course. I mean, one of my favorite ones is lowering a hook down at night and flying really low over a runway. You used to be able to do it and get sparks all the way along. I think now you risk it just slamming you into the ground. But regardless, and certain, when stuff blows up, it's a bit more... there's a bit more orange and a bit more smoke. And so, yeah, you can certainly argue that. New bomb fuses. God almighty. Talk about pointless, right? Oh, there's a setting that you can tick, and then what difference does it make? None. Doesn't make any difference. Oh, yes, it does. There's delayed fuse. Okay, what difference does that make in DCS? It doesn't make any difference. So, whatever. The thing either blows up or it doesn't. And how many bugged bombs have we had in the last year? Where, I was dropping JDAMs a couple of months ago and work going off. This is an example of when you release new module, new feature, new this, new that. Yeah, but the existing stuff that's been working for years suddenly breaks. And so when you say, oh, we've released 20 new things, yeah, but it don't really count when you break 19 other things that did work. And at the end of the day, instead of having 10,000 moving parts, in some software, some game, and they all work together cohesively, what you're basically doing is, oh yeah, but it's got 20,000 moving parts now. Yeah, but if 8,000 of those moving parts don't work together properly, what use is having 20,000 moving parts over 10? And this is what people are sick of. How many people are saying, I'm basically, leaving DCS now? I've walked away. I mean, I play DCS far less than I used to. And the reason is because I can't tell you how many times that I'll go into a multiplayer thing, suddenly for no reason the frame rate will tank, if not from the off. Suddenly a load of people will drop out and they come back in saying DCS has crashed. Next thing you know, my DCS is crashing. Next thing you know, mission developers are disabling certain modules because they screw up with the mission, and it's like, come on. And I get the people that form these dedicated groups and they lock the server and they meet up certain times, certain days and have a time. I get it. Those people still seem to have the most fun in the way that DCS was really envisioned, right? The problem is that most of us don't have the time or the dedication to be able to devote huge sections of our life for these weekly things. We like to most of us like to play as and when. And when we like to play as and when, it's frustrating when there's endless problems. And you might say, oh, well, we've got a team working on that, dedicated team. Look, we ain't interested if one guy is working on something part-time and is able to produce maybe one update every 6 months on his little area. And you might say, oh, it's more than one guy. Okay, but where's the evidence? We're not... And don't show me wage slips. We want to see things that work together. You know, we don't expect perfection. We don't expect every single update that the whole game is magically going to work. But rather than just, oh, why is a new shiny object? We're sick of that. We're all sick of it. Let's take a look at DCS numbers. And again, this shows. So this starts back January 2022, and it goes all the way up to today. We can see, come January and then February, we get the high point. February 2022. Okay, so this is almost 3 years ago. That was the high point. The most amount of players ever online, at least with Steam, 3,328. Now, what just happened back then, DCS 2.7 had just come out. The Apache in early access was just coming out. So that was the high point. And as you can see, it's been a steady downhill ever since. I know some people can say, oh, well, that's because people are doing away with the Steam edition. They're moving over to the website edition. Okay, I hear you. But if we take a look at the latest figures as of right now, 1,337 players, 1,442 versus 3,328. Now, all of these figures are taken on the Monday, so it's pretty much like for like. Now, if we zoom into like a 1 month period, we can very clearly see this up, down, as we've got, you know, day, night. But if we zoom in, let's have a look at the 3 months, we can see very clearly weekend, weekday, weekend, weekday. And so, you know, Saturday, Sunday, as it is now Saturday evening, very clearly the busiest time. As we see, we get 1,400 players. It then drops down to 1,000, maybe slightly under in the week. But as you can see, even there, you look at the baseline from August, summer, you'd think fewer players in the summer, more in the winter. The baselines, so not the peaks. We've got about 1,100 and some. Now, that's dropped to 1,000. So, you know, you're down about 10% in just a couple of months. And Ed, if you're listening, please fix existing stuff. We're sick of it. We've had enough. We've heard all the rumours of the financial difficulties, the debt with the Fight Club, all the rest of it. Nick Gray, take your money in, put it, you know, all rumours. I get it. But we don't care. Seriously, we don't care. We don't care what your reasons are, right? When people have paid, in some cases, up to like £1,000, which is no chicken feed, on modules, and they're not working, and all that you're saying is, oh, well, we've got a team working on it, but here, look at this shiny new ball. We don't care. And so with that, I'm going to wrap it up. Eagle Dynamics, your response here to simply, you know, accuse people, saying, well, you haven't accused them, but, you know, last week we launched the Iraq pre-order that sparked many questions and concerns. Primarily, why is Eagle Dynamics working on an Iraq map with so much work still to do on the Afghanistan map? The Iraq and Afghanistan maps are being developed by separate teams in different countries. Again, it wasn't primarily the Afghanistan map. It was primarily with so many other unfinished modules. And you say, oh, well, the development of one doesn't affect the other with different teams in different places. Well, how about, rather than thinning out the team over here so you can create a new team over there, work on the same thing? And if you say, oh, we didn't thin anything out. Right. Well, rather than creating a new team to do something else, why not bring people into your existing team and try and finish some of the things? I mean, look, right, do yourself a favor. Get the carrier working in the way that the super carrier working in the way that it was intended. Get at least 2 or 3 aircraft more out of early access, and don't just pull the early access sticker off. Get them working as they were announced in the release trailer. As with all the bump, we'll have this. Get it all working, and important bit, working relatively bug free. You know, a thing that shudders along like I'm playing in New Jerkshire, like that don't cut it. If the thing crashes every 20-30 minutes or every time I perform a certain action, it don't cut it. You need to get all of that working, and for goodness sake, don't have... How many maps are you going to have on early access at one go? I've already if I haven't shown you already, we looked at the play numbers. Look at this. if we come back to the screen capture here with DCS, again, this is live figures Saturday evening. How many maps do you see people playing? Again, I've ranked servers, the busiest at the top on down. I've not filtered any out, so this includes passworded servers and all the rest of it. I'm just going to read it. Caucasus, Caucasus, Syria, Caucasus, Caucasus, Syria, Caucasus, Syria, Caucasus, Caucasus, Syria, Syria. Then we've got a Cola map, the first one that differs from those two. As you can see, it's password protected, so that's a no-go for the majority of people. Then we've got Marianas, which is, of course, a free map as well. Also hardly anybody playing on it, and it's a protected server. Then we've got the PG, so we've got the first non-Caucasus or Syria map that is not password protected. That's got 18 people. Don't forget, we've got to knock one off for the server. So we've got 17 people playing a non-Syria or Caucasus map. Then it's back to the usual. Caucasus, Caucasus, Syria, Caucasus, Caucasus, Afghanistan. It's a locked server. So again, if you ain't in with the flying buddies, you ain't in at all. Then it's Syria, Caucasus again. We'll scroll down a little bit. Caucasus, Caucasus PG. That's someone with 13 players. It's a locked server. Caucasus, Sinai, Caucasus, 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 Syria, Caucasus, Syria, Cola. It's a locked server. It's got 11 players. Caucasus, Caucasus, Syria, Marianas, 10 players. It's a locked server. PG, 10 players, locked server. Do you see a pattern emerging? Like, hardly anybody is playing on anything other than Caucasus or the Syria map unless it's a dedicated group of people that are locking up a server. And even then, you've got 10, 12 people doing that. And this is prime time Saturday evening. How many players are there online right now? Well, I took the liberty of adding all of them up. We've got 336 players in the top 23 servers, and that is all. Now, as we scroll down, we see the numbers very quickly fizzle down to a handful. And when we come down this server list, where it says 2 players, don't forget that's only one guy. It's one guy in the server that makes 2. And we're only like 20% down the list. And by the time we're not even a quarter of the way down, all the servers on down are empty. The server hosting companies must be having a right good time, because they're able to host, you know, how many servers are there with just nobody on? Nobody. So, yeah, there are all these maps, but for players that want to just have a working game of DCS, they've got 2 choices, really. Caucasus, Syria, or they can join a dedicated bunch of people that meet up every whatever day at whatever time, however that works, and then maybe they can opt to play on a different map. But looks like, look, if you want some free flight or some practice missions or whatever on some of these, you know, anything other than Caucasus or Syria, you are very lucky to find a server where you won't be entirely on your own. So do we really need a new map? I don't think so. Don't matter how good it looks. It's not maps we need, Ed. We need working existing modules, which of course includes the maps. All right, that's going to be it from me. I hope you found this video useful. And until next time, wherever in the world you may be, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. Take care. Bye-bye. That sounded sincere as F, didn't it? Sincere as fuck.